Lately, we've talked a bit about the impacts of Black culture and literature and how the two are deeply intertwined. But through my reading and writing and research, there were two massive themes that I felt deserve their own proper spaces and exploration. We'll chat about one of them today, and that's Black feminist literature and its significance in both the Black community and the feminist movement. We'll break this video into 4 parts. First, we'll look at the origins and evolution of Black feminist literature. Then we'll talk about intersectionality, followed by social justice contributions, before wrapping up with its impact on the literary world and mainstream narratives. Let's get into it. First, we'll start with a bit of context. Black feminist literature centers around the experiences and perspectives of Black women and emphasizes the intersections of race, gender, and class, while also pushing to challenge the ways in which these systems of oppression interact with and often reinforce one another. It differs from mainstream feminist literature in a few ways. First, it shines a light on the experiences and perspectives of Black women, and it also centers the experiences of marginalized groups, including LGBTQ+ individuals, people with disabilities, and immigrants. On top of all that, Black feminist literature critiques the ways in which power operates within feminist movements, including the privileging of white, middle class, and cisgender perspectives. One of the earliest books that expressed a Black feminist perspective was A Voice from the South by Anna Julia Cooper, which was published in 1892. But most of the early history traces back to the Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s and 30s. This movement allowed Black writers and artists to flourish, and they produced works that challenged traditional narratives of race and gender. We've spoken about a notable figure from this era ad nauseum, but Zora Neale Hurston and her 1937 novel, Their Eyes Were Watching God, really stands out here, as it centered the experiences of Black women and explored themes of self-discovery and empowerment. But let's talk about some other Harlem Renaissance writers, like Nella Larsen, who was a writer and nurse best known for her 2 novels, Quicksand from 1928 and Passing from 1929. Quicksand tells a story of a mixed-race woman named Helga. She struggles to find her place in the world, and she moves between different communities and social classes. The book also explores Helga's experiences with colorism, racism, and sexism, and ultimately asks questions about the nature of identity and the possibility of true belonging. In the book Passing, which was Larsen's most famous novel, we see the story of 2 childhood friends, and one of them has passed as white and is living this life of privilege and wealth. We start to see the exploration of social dynamics of race and class, while also getting into the psychological toll of passing and what it means to actually live an authentic life. There's also Jessie Fawcett and her 1924 piece titled There is Confusion, one of the earliest works of the Harlem Renaissance. It tells a story of 2 young Black couples, one that's from an affluent family and one that's from a more working class background, and how they both navigate the complexities of love, marriage, and social status. Black feminist literature really rose to prominence during the second wave of feminism, which also coincided with the Black arts and Black power movements. Both of these were characterized by a commitment to self-determination, political empowerment, and cultural pride. Black feminist literature's rise was mainly a response to the ways that mainstream feminist movements ignored the specific experiences and struggles of Black women, and we saw this challenged by writers, activists, and scholars like Alice Walker, Toni Cade Bambara, and Bell Hooks, to name a few. In 1973, the anthology Homegirls, a Black feminist anthology, which was edited by Barbara Smith, brought together essays, poetry, and fiction. This anthology and others like it helped to define the Black feminist literary tradition and set the stage for future works that would explore and challenge intersections of oppression. This concept of intersectionality in Black feminist literature refers to the ways in which different forms of oppression and discrimination, like racism, sexism, and classism, not only intersect with one another, but also reinforce each other. It recognizes that individuals and communities experience oppression in complex and interconnected ways, and that these experiences can't be understood nor really addressed through just a single lens. Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall does an incredible job at addressing how mainstream feminist movements have failed to address these needs and experiences. I talk about this book in my video, A Brief History of Feminism, but over 18 chapters, she touches on topics like how gun violence is a feminist issue because it has a disproportionate impact on Black women and girls, how hunger and food insecurity are issues that white feminists have ignored due to class differences, and even the fetishization of fierce, which says that fierceness supports cultural stereotypes of women of color as so strong they don't deserve or need help from white feminists. Black feminist literature has had a profound impact on both the literary world and broader society, and its contributions to social justice movements and public discourse cannot be overstated. In the case of Me Too, Black feminist writers and activists have played a crucial role in drawing attention into the ways that sexual harassment and assault disproportionately affects marginalized communities, including Black women. Writers like Tarana Burke, who created the Me Too movement in 2006, and Brittany Cooper, who's written extensively on the intersections of race and gender in the movement, have shaped the conversation around sexual violence and have advocated for greater recognition and support for survivors. Even looking at Black Lives Matter, Black feminist literature has played a part in advocating for intersectional approaches to social justice. We can thank the works of Angela Davis, Kimberly Crenshaw, and many other Black women writers for their contributions to the discourse around BLM and marginalized communities. And it's not just those two matters. There's also LGBTQ+ rights and writers like Cheryl Clark, who's written extensively about the experiences of LGBTQ individuals, particularly within the Black community, and Janet Mock, a trans writer and activist who's been a voice for LGBTQ+ rights and visibility. Her memoir, Redefining Realness, explores her experiences as a Black trans woman and the challenges and triumphs along her journey. The issues of disability and chronic illness have also been explored in Black Femme Lit with writers like Kaya Brown, who is a disabled writer and activist. In her memoir, The Pretty One, she retells her experiences growing up with cerebral palsy and her journey towards self-acceptance and self-love. She helps us to understand how she navigates a world that often excludes disabled people, while at the same time celebrating the beauty and resilience of disabled bodies and communities. Alexis Pauline Gumbs is a writer and activist who's written about the issues of environment and sustainability in her work. Her book, Undrowned: Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals, explores the wisdom and teaching of these animals as a way to reimagine and reconnect with the natural world. She recognizes the resilience and beauty of the ocean and its creatures while exploring themes of healing, resistance, and community all at the same time. Lastly, for social justice, there's reproductive justice. Black feminist writers and activists like Loretta Ross have explored issues of reproductive justice and its intersections in her works, the most famous of which being The Color of Choice: White Supremacy and Reproductive Rights. It's a piece that's been widely cited and celebrated in the field of reproductive justice. It offers a critique of the mainstream reproductive rights movement and calls for a more inclusive and intersectional approach. The writers that we've spoken about today haven't necessarily had it easy. The reception of Black feminist literature within the literary world has been pretty mixed. On the one hand, the work of Black women writers has been celebrated for its insights, narratives, and social critique. Many of them have won literary awards and accolades and had their work be recognized as some of the most important and influential literature of the 20th century. And on the other hand, Black women authors have also had to face significant challenges and barriers within the literary world. Their work has often been overlooked or dismissed by publishers, critics, and even readers who just weren't used to or maybe comfortable with hearing Black women's voices and stories. They've also faced discrimination and marginalization within the publishing industry, where they've often struggled to find representation and support for their work. Thankfully, today, there's numerous publishing houses, literary journals, and organizations that are dedicated to promoting and supporting the work of Black women writers, and the influence of Black feminist literature can now be seen in a wide range of genres. All of these writers and so many more that we didn't get a chance to discuss today have had such a massive impact on Black Femme Lit. If this video has been interesting to you, then I'd suggest you check out This Brief History of Feminism. See you there.